everybody. Welcome to another week of Light to My Path, our 2025 Bible reading plan. This week, we are reading 5 chapters from the book of Acts and then a Psalm 13. We're reading Acts 4 through Acts 8. And these are the stories of the resistance to the church, to the early Jesus movement, really starting to rise. You see it in the very first story in chapter 4, when Peter and John are kind of confronted and they're told not to teach in the name of Jesus. And I love their response. They're like, whether it's right in God's sight to listen to you rather than to God, you must judge. For we cannot keep from speaking about what we have seen and heard. And that was what was behind the whole Jesus movement. These people who were forever changed by the death and resurrection of Jesus and who lived by the life of Jesus, by the power of the Spirit, they simply could not stop speaking about what they had seen and heard. They couldn't stop being witnesses. And that's what drives the church. And it's interesting that the witness of the church seems to, and this is true historically, not just in the Bible, it seems to have its greatest effectiveness during difficult times, during struggle, during persecution, but during resistance. When the world is against the movement of the church, it actually seems to be one of the times when the church can speak the loudest. And the way that happens is through the faithfulness of Christians and Christian communities. That's what we saw here in Acts 4. They were a faithful Christian community who were speaking the good news of Jesus, speaking about what his life meant. They were sharing everything so that no one was poor, no one was hungry. And you could trace it throughout. There's the weird story of Ananias and Sapphira in chapter 5, and they were people who were trying to actually deceive other people and keeping things for themselves selfishly, and that was a bad witness. That didn't go well for them. And the apostles continue to be persecuted throughout. Kind of culminating in this very famous arrest of Stephen in chapter 6, and then his famous speech in chapter 7. It's a bit of a long speech. Read through it. It is beautiful. It kind of gives an awesome overview of the Old Testament, too. If you don't have time to read the whole Old Testament, you can read this, and you get a really good piece of it. But then there's the chilling detail at the end that he was stoned to death, and as he's being stoned to death, he sees Jesus. He sees the Son of Man, and he prays the same thing basically that Jesus prayed. Lord, do not hold this sin against them. He's praying forgiveness, even as the people who are killing him are doing so, which is just an amazing picture of grace. Again, it's the witness of faithful Christians that makes a huge impact in the face of a world that is against it, that is resisting it, and it's just amazing. And then you have the beginning of chapter 8 with this chilling line about Stephen's death, and Saul approved of their killing, which is really it's a foreshadowing of what's to come. It's meant to throw us off the trail. We think Saul's going to be this bad guy, but the miraculous work that the risen Jesus does to transform Saul's life is what drives the second half of the book of Acts. So anyway, I really hope you can enjoy this week of reading and get into it and think to yourself, when the church, when Christians are threatened, persecuted, resisted, acted against, it is through the power of our faithful witness that God's power moves. So let's be faithful witnesses in whatever world we may find ourselves in. All right, enjoy the week of reading.